Imagine you've been alive for 100 million years. Your civilization is perfect. You are stronger, faster, and more massive than anything that has ever walked this earth. And then one ordinary day, a Wednesday if you like, it all ends. Not from disease, not from war, from a rock. A single rock from space. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what the last day of the dinosaurs looked like. Second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, and why that one day made possible everything that exists right now, including you. The Cretaceous period, 66 million years ago. Earth doesn't know winter, not the way we do. Temperatures at the poles feel like modern-day London. At the equator, a constant greenhouse. The air holds a third more oxygen than it does today. That means fire burns brighter here. Wounds heal faster, and a body the size of a building can actually exist, simply because the air sustains it. On the plains, herds of triceratops. They fear nothing, because in this world they are living fortresses weighing 10 tons in the sky. Pterosaurs with wingspans the size of a small aircraft. In the sea, mosasaurs, marine reptiles as long as a city bus. And above all of it, the Tyrannosaurus Rex. 2 tons, a top speed of up to 25 kilometers per hour. A bite 6 times more powerful than a lion's. But there is something nobody notices. In the shadow of enormous trees, small furry creatures dart between the roots. The size of a mouse, a cat at best. They hide. They are nocturnal. Nobody pays them any attention. These are mammals. These are us, deep in our past. Now, a point 450 million kilometers from here. The cold darkness between Mars and Jupiter. A rock is traveling through it. It has been traveling for millions of years. There is no one nearby to see it. It is in no hurry. It simply moves along a trajectory that physics set in place when the Earth itself was still forming. Its diameter, around 10 kilometers. For scale, imagine Mount Everest laid on its side. Its mass, trillions of tons. Its speed, more than 70,000 kilometers per hour. That is 60 times faster than a bullet. And then its path shifted slightly. Perhaps another asteroid nudged it 1 million years ago. Perhaps Jupiter's gravity. We don't know exactly. But the result is the same. It is now heading toward Earth, and nothing in the universe will stop it. Morning on the Yucatan Peninsula. By our calculations, spring. Approximately 6 in the morning. The sun rises over a warm, shallow sea. Dinosaurs are waking up. Pterosaurs cry out above the water. Life, ordinary, endless, entirely sure of itself. And at this exact moment, someone watching the sky from 100 kilometers away would have seen a strange star, extremely bright, moving, growing. The animals felt something before they saw anything. Birds went silent all at once. Herds froze. The ground wasn't shaking yet. Just silence. That particular silence, nature switches on before something for which it has no name. And then the sky turned white. A flash, tens of thousands of times brighter than the sun. Those who looked in that direction went blind instantly. Thousands of kilometers from the impact site. The sound was still minutes away. The shock wave, still minutes away. But the light was already here. And for many of them, it was the last thing they ever saw. The asteroid passed through the atmosphere in under 2 seconds. The air in front of it had no time to move aside. It compressed into plasma. The temperature on the rock's surface, tens of thousands of degrees. The sky itself was on fire. Impact. The sea evaporated instantly. Not boiled, evaporated. Billions of tons of water became vapor in a fraction of a second. The Earth's crust at the impact site collapsed 20 kilometers down, then immediately rebounded, like water when a stone hits it. A mountain of molten rock kilometers high rose up and collapsed. The energy of the impact, 100 million megatons. That is 1 billion times greater than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. More than all of humanity's nuclear arsenal combined. Thousands of times over, the shockwave circled the planet. Twice, forests, thousands of kilometers away, ignited from the thermal pulse, not from fire, just from heat carried through the air. A tsunami over 1 kilometer high moved outward in every direction. Fragments of rock thrown into space came back down through the atmosphere, and the sky became a literal rain of fire. But the impact was not the worst part. The impact lasted seconds. What came after lasted years. So much dust, soot, and sulfur had been thrown into the atmosphere that the sun disappeared. Not hidden by clouds, gone. The planet was plunged into darkness. Temperatures dropped 10, 15, 20 degrees within a matter of weeks. Frost began in the tropics. Plants stopped receiving light. Photosynthesis shut down. Grass died. Trees died. Those that fed on plants had nothing to eat. Those that fed on plant eaters, the same. The food chain collapsed from the bottom up. Tyrannosaurs roamed through dead forests. Picture this: a creature weighing 2 tons, accustomed to eating every few days. And suddenly, there is no food. Anywhere. At all. They grew weak. They died alone. Not from injury, not from a predator. From hunger and cold. In complete silence. This process did not take 1 day or 1 year. Scientists estimate the dust winter held the planet for anywhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years. 75% of all species disappeared forever. But some things survived, and this is where the story takes a turn. That changes everything. The small creatures in their burrows. They made it. Because they didn't need as much food. Because they could eat seeds that had been lying in the ground since before the catastrophe. Because they hid underground while the sky burned. Insects survived. Crocodiles survived. They can go months with almost nothing to eat. Some birds survived, especially those living near water and eating fish. Sea turtles survived. Snakes survived. When the dust began to settle, and the first signs of recovery appeared within just a few thousand years, these creatures found themselves in a world without competition. The enormous ecological niches held by dinosaurs for millions of years were suddenly empty, and the small mammals began to fill them. Over the next 10 million years, they evolved into the forms we call horses, whales, bats, and primates today. We would not be here without that rock. Literally. The Chicxulub crater is still there, beneath the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. It was only discovered in 1978, by accident during oil exploration. Its diameter, 180 kilometers. It can still be seen from space. And every time you look at the night sky and see a shooting star, know this: Earth is still passing through debris fields. Asteroids the size of a house fly past us every year, some closer than the moon. And sometimes we find out, with just a few hours' notice. 66 million years ago, one rock ended one era and began ours. Life did not stop. It changed, because life is not a single story. It is an endless number of attempts, and we are one of them. 10,000 years had passed. The dust began to settle. A thin, faint ray of sunlight touched the surface of the Earth for the first time in millennia. It was barely visible, but it was there, and that was enough. In the cracks of charred rock, something green appeared. Not a tree, not a flower, just moss, microscopic, almost invisible. It had no idea it had survived the end of the world. It simply grew, because that is the only thing it knows how to do. Then came the ferns. Scientists call this the fern spike. In the geological layers of that era, Fern spores appear so frequently that they have become a marker of the catastrophe itself. Where tropical forests once stood, vast green carpets of fern, muted, simple, alive. The Earth was not trying to be beautiful. It was simply starting over, from zero, from the most basic forms, from what needs nothing but water and a sliver of light. Imagine a city after all its people have vanished. The buildings are still standing, the roads are there, the resources are in the ground. But no one is home. That is what Earth looked like 100,000 years after the impact. A vast, recovering world. And almost no one left to claim it. The small mammals emerged from their burrows into a world that literally belonged to them. And evolution accelerated, as it always does when competitive pressure disappears. Over the next million years, creatures appeared that had never existed before. Some grew larger, some grew smarter, some learned to fly. In the oceans, emptied after the extinction of giant reptiles, small aquatic mammals began returning to the water. Slowly at first, simply wading deeper. Then their hind limbs grew smaller. Then they disappeared entirely. 50 million years later, their descendants would be called whales. On land, creatures resembling small deer began forming groups. They learned to interact, to communicate. This was the beginning of something fundamentally new, social intelligence. The planet was not simply recovering, it was reinventing itself. Today we know everything about Chicxulub. We have studied its rock, its depth, its age. We have reconstructed the temperature of the impact, the speed of the shock wave, the chemical composition of the dust in the atmosphere. We can read the past with minute-by-minute precision. But here is something we prefer not to think about. Right now, while you are watching this video, thousands of asteroids are moving through space along trajectories we have not yet calculated. Some of them are the size of that very rock. Earth survived one impact. The laws of physics make no promises about the next. But here is the difference between us and the dinosaurs. They could not look at the sky and understand what they were seeing. We can. We build telescopes, we launch probes. In 2022, humanity changed the trajectory of an asteroid for the first time in history by deliberately sending a spacecraft into it. We called that mission DART. 66 million years ago, the planet had no one to defend it. Today it does, and that defender is not a superhero from a film. It is physics, mathematics, and people who are not afraid to stare into the darkness and calculate. Earth gave us a chance. The question is what we do with it.